The year is 2020 and it's been nearly 2 years since my last post about Japanese games on Xbox, so I figured it was high time to do another one of these. I know some of you are probably asking yourselves, why is this guy always going on about Japanese games on Xbox? Well, to answer your question, there are 3 reasons why I'm doing another one of these posts. Reason number 1. If you can recall my gaming biases video, I enjoy Japanese games immensely and I love discussing them. As a consequence, these Japanese games on Xbox videos gives me an excuse to talk more about them. Number 2. A lot has changed since I last talked about this topic. Additionally, a new console generation is coming out very soon, so I feel that what I talk about today will undoubtedly apply to the imminent release of the next Xbox. Number 3. The people demand it. For reasons that remain a mystery even to me, my old Japanese games on Xbox posts have been getting a lot of traffic recently. And by a lot, I mean a bunch of views by the standards of my small blog. Thus, I feel I must oblige my adoring audience with an all-new look at what the Xbox One has on offer from Japan. So, sit back, relax, and, most importantly, enjoy. Before we properly begin, I want to make it clear that this is not an all-inclusive list of all the Japanese games released on the Xbox One over the past few years. The games I discussed down below are merely the titles which I think merit the most attention and are the most significant. Please don't get mad at me if I don't include your favorite games. In fact, should I miss any that are near and dear to your heart, please feel free to mention them in the comment section down below. Alright, let's begin. The last time I discussed this topic was right after E3 2018. Microsoft's E3 presentation is what prompted me to write that video in the first place, which is why I feel that it's a good place to start. Since that conference, things have been looking up for the Japanese games on Xbox department. The fun started almost immediately following E3 that year when Nier Automata released on Xbox One in late June. Now, I've never written a review for this game, I should correct that mistake, but let me tell you all now that it is quite good. It was a shame then that it was only available on PS4 and PC. I was very happy to see it be released on a new platform. Hopefully it was able to bring a new crop of gamers into the fold since I believe it is well worth playing. The next notable Japanese game released on Xbox in 2018 would have to be both Shenmue 1 and 2 in August of that year. This was interesting in many ways. For starters, this was the first time that a Shenmue game had appeared on an Xbox console since Shenmue 2 on the original Xbox back in 2002. Secondly, this was a little bizarre and a little unfair for Xbox One owners since the long-awaited Shenmue 3 was in development but it had only been announced for PS4 and PC. It still hasn't come to the Xbox One, just so you know. Xbox owners would essentially only get to play the first 2 games in the series on their platform of choice, but should they want to play the third entry, they would have to get the game on another console or on a PC. I've never really understood the excitement surrounding the Shenmue series, but I definitely feel the pain of the fans who owned an Xbox One. There's nothing worse than seeing a series you love skip the platform you enjoy playing on. Following on the heels of the release of Shenmue 1 and 2, Valkyria Chronicles 4 made an appearance on the Xbox One as well. This is significant since the Valkyria Chronicles series usually skips Xbox entirely. Valkyria Revolution graced the platform early on in 2017, but I really don't count that game since it was so different from past Valkyria games and was so poorly received. Valkyria Chronicles 4 took the series back to its third-person strategic roots, and it was generally well received both by critics and fans alike. Although you don't need to play the first 4 counting Valkyria Revolution, titles in the series to understand what's going on in 4, I would have liked it if Sega had released the first Valkyria Chronicles on Xbox One since I've never played the series before. I mean, it's on Switch, PS4, and PC, so why no love for the Xbox One? It doesn't really make any sense to me. And now we come to 2019. The Xbox One saw the release of many different kinds of Japanese games in that year. Popular examples include Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2, Jump Force, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Devil May Cry 5, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. Those last 2 are specifically worthy of attention. The Phoenix Wright trilogy is noteworthy because this was the first time that any Phoenix Wright games had appeared on any Xbox console ever. Tales of Vesperia is interesting because it was an exclusive on the Xbox 360. Even though it was released on other consoles this time around, it's worth bringing up because other entries in the Tales series have only been released on the PS4 during this generation. It was nice of Bandai Namco to bring the series back to Xbox. Although all these titles are excellent additions to the Xbox One library, there's one series in particular that released on Xbox One in 2019 that I think was the most significant. I'm of course talking about Final Fantasy. For the longest time, the older entries in the Final Fantasy series have only been available on the PS4 and, while releasing at a later date, on PC via Steam. I personally thought that this was a tragedy since this series has played a critical role in the history of video games and, as such, I believe they should be available on as many platforms as possible. Luckily for me and Xbox One owners in general, Square Enix finally decided to bring many classic Final Fantasy games to Xbox. Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 10.2, and 12 were all released on the Xbox One throughout 2019. I failed to mention this earlier, but the 3 games in the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy became available on Xbox One through the backwards compatibility program late in 2018. As I said, I'd long been an advocate for these games being available on more platforms since these games remain incredibly popular even today. This honestly should have happened a lot sooner, but hey, what can you do? The release of so many popular Final Fantasy titles on Xbox One in 2019 made that year a tough act to follow. In spite of this, 2020 has been making a good show of it so far. That's because a few classic games in another popular Square Enix series made their long-awaited debut on Xbox One. I'm of course talking about Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, and even Kingdom Hearts 2.8. This means that the entire series is finally available on Xbox. It's a shame and honestly a little weird that Square Enix waited to bring these games to Xbox One after the company had already released Kingdom Hearts 3 on the platform, but I'm not complaining. I'm just glad these games finally made it onto an Xbox console. I've been waiting for an excuse to play the Kingdom Hearts series and I finally got one. I own most of them on PS4 already, but I like to show my support for Japanese games on Xbox. I'm weird, I know. The only problem is that all of these games are a little pricey at the moment. You all knew this was going to happen, and, let's be honest here, what I'm about to say next is one of the main reasons why I'm writing this in the first place. 2020 marks the first time that the Yakuza series has ever graced an Xbox console. It is truly a great and momentous occasion. If you couldn't tell from all of my reviews of the series, and trust me when I say that more are coming, I have become a huge fan of the Yakuza series over the past few years. As of this writing, both Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami are available on the Xbox Store, and Yakuza Kiwami 2 is scheduled for release sometime later this year. The best part is that both 0 and Kiwami are only $19.99 a piece, so Sega is basically just begging you Xbox One owners to get these games. I can only hope that Sega takes the initiative and brings the rest of the games in the series to the Xbox One. While they're at it, they should also bring both Judgment and Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, essentially Yakuza games with different characters, to the One as well. Hell, if they want to get crazy, they can jump ahead and bring Yakuza 7 to Xbox One when it releases in the West later this year. I personally wouldn't mind that. One of the best decisions I think both Microsoft and its partners in Japan have made in 2020 is to put many of the games I've talked about in the last few paragraphs in Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass is a monthly subscription service on both Xbox One and PC, which allows people to download and play a large assortment of games. Kingdom Hearts 3, Yakuza 0, and Yakuza Kiwami are all in the service as we speak. Additionally, all of the Final Fantasy games currently on Xbox One are scheduled to be placed in Game Pass at some point in 2020. I think this is great because it gives people who may be unsure about these games a chance to take these games out for a spin. This will hopefully make these series popular on Xbox and give Japanese companies more of a reason to support Xbox consoles in the future. The last game I want to mention before I move on to the future is kind of a big deal. This announcement took a lot of people by surprise, myself included, since it really came out of nowhere. This game has been out in Japan for many years now, and despite being announced for release in the West 7 years ago, never made it to the Americas. I'm of course talking about Phantasy Star Online 2. This game's release alone would have been astounding enough given its disappearance in the West for 7 years, but its reappearance as an Xbox One console exclusive makes it even more mind-boggling. It's also available on PC through the Microsoft Store, but that's neither here nor there. This is a big deal and is a good get for Xbox. I still can't really believe it is released here in the West, to be honest. I'm just glad that fans can finally play it and that it is on the Xbox One. Although the Xbox One has made great progress in terms of Japanese support in both 2019 and 2020, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Popular Japanese games continue to skip Xbox entirely even today. One needs only to look at the PS4 to see what Xbox owners are missing out on. Games like Ni no Kuni, Persona 5, Dragon Quest XI, Dragon Quest Builders, and games from Platinum Games, The Wonderful 101, Babylon's Fall, are neither on Xbox nor are scheduled to be released on the One anytime soon. Xbox even missed out on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, although I'm sure Sony paid a lot of money for that game to be exclusive, and it appears it might only be for 1 year. This is a real shame since these are all great games that I'm sure Xbox owners would appreciate having access to. As I said before, a lot of work still needs to be done to ensure that more Japanese games come to Xbox. Luckily for us all, it seems that work is indeed being done. Curiously, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, seems to be doing most of the work of bringing Japanese games to Xbox One himself. He has talked about Xbox's problem when it comes to Japanese games regularly in the past, but he has been particularly vocal about it over the past 6 months or so. Starting with the Xbox fan celebration event in London, called X019 for what it's worth, Phil Spencer, essentially unprompted mind you, started talking about getting more Japanese franchises on Xbox One. He said that he has been on the plane to Tokyo a lot more in recent years, and he foresees that trend continuing for years to come. It seems that his trips to Japan have paid off given all the games I have discussed here today. Point of fact, the arrival of the older Kingdom Hearts and Yakuza games on Xbox was announced at the same event. In addition, it was revealed at X019 that Xbox personnel were working with Square Enix to bring the MMO Final Fantasy XIV to Xbox One as well. As you can see, Phil Spencer is leading the charge in terms of Japanese support himself. He isn't just talking the talk, but he's getting results. 2019 and 2020 are proof of that. Just 2 months ago in February, Phil tweeted that he was in Japan meeting with publishers and developers, so hopefully that means another wave of Japanese games is on the way. Additionally, Phil talked about Japanese support for Xbox in an interview in February, where he expressed his reasons for wanting more Japanese games on Xbox One, besides the fact that fans have been asking for that support, of course. He said that Japan is critical because of the creative community there. The interview itself is worth a listen, or a read, as Phil Spencer said a bunch of other things about Japanese games in particular, which I think is important to the future of Xbox. I have to agree with his statement about Japan's importance, since most of my favorite games come from Japan, and the country has always been critical to the games industry as a whole. As I have laid out here today, 2018, 2019, and 2020 have all been big years for release of Japanese games on Xbox. Microsoft has made a lot of progress when it comes to securing Japanese support for its gaming platform. A lot of work still needs to be done if the company wants to compete with both Nintendo and Sony on the Japanese front, but the effort is being made, which is exciting to see. I can only hope that that work continues, as it would be nice to see Xbox get the same love from Japanese developers and publishers as its rivals do. Only time will tell, but I'm a lot more confident about the future now than I was in years past. Thanks for watching. If what you heard here today piques your interest, then please like and subscribe so you can follow me for more content. What are some Japanese franchises you would all like to see come to Xbox One or even to Xbox Series X in the near future? I mentioned a few that I would like to see, but I'm curious what you all are interested in as well. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Okay, bye.